It really isn't hyperbole to say that the end of any relationship is like a death. You break up, separate, divorce, whatever it is. That person may physically still be around, but it still feels like a death because so much stops. There is a finality to it. The daily routine, the feelings stop, right? Sometimes it's gradual, like a slow death. Sometimes it's sudden, but it stops, right? And the two people have to move on with their lives. And it's even regardless of who ended what, it's difficult. And there's a lot of what if that didn't happen? What if we tried again? What if we tried harder, right? But there is a mourning period. There's definitely a mourning period. Mourning is not just about literal death, it's the end of something, right? Just like in tarot cards, the death card isn't necessarily, usually not literal death. The death card is the end of something so that something new can begin. Like the song from Closing Time from Semisonic. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, right? But death has to start that process. The death of a relationship in the case of what I'm talking about. But I am bringing up literal death in a way as well for a reason. If you're having a hard time getting over somebody that you ended a relationship with, regardless of who actually did the ending, could have been mutual, could have been you, could have been them. If you're having a difficult time getting over this person still after time has passed, you've done all the physical 3D things. Maybe you've blocked them on social media or unfollowed them, unfriended them, deleted their phone number in your cell phone, threw away things that reminded you of them, erased old emails, whatever, pictures, whatever it is. You've done all that, but it's not working because you still got to work on this and this from an energetic level, right? The pain is still there. Now, granted, those steps can help, but it takes more than that. And here's something to consider. The reason why I brought up literal death, because we've all lost people to death, literal death that we love, right? And when we lose people that we love through actual death, what do we know? Well, and I've said earlier in a previous video, you could feel their presence. You could get signs from them. You could see them in your dreams, right? You know they're there, or you could feel that they're there. And you know that there's probably another version of you in another timeline where you are still on a physical plane, right? That's part of it. But here's the deal. You can accept in the timeline that you're in where you've lost this person to death that no matter how many times they send you a signal, no matter how many times you see them in your dreams, no matter how many times you think of them or feel their presence, you know you will not be able to have a physical one-on-one conversation with them, like sitting at a table, right? You know, and there is, it may hurt, but there is an acceptance because there's nothing you can do. And there is some peace with that. Whereas when there's a relationship that ends and that person is still there, you may feel they're this close to you, but you feel like there's a wall now between you because you're moving on. That's a normal feeling to have. It's a normal to feel hurt by that. Okay. So here's what I recommend, something you could try doing. Because like I said, the end of a relationship is like a death. And what you need to do, or not need to do, I'm just suggesting, okay? You might want to consider literally treating the end of that relationship like a death. How many times have you seen movies or, where people will say, oh, they're dead to me, they're dead to me, they're dead to me, right? You almost got to do that with this person. Maybe it sounds harsh. But here's the difference. In those scenarios that I mentioned, you're dead to me, you're dead to me, there's a lot of hate, anger, resentment. The goal here is not to do that with resentment. Don't kill them off with those kind of negative emotions or energies. Kill them off with kindness. Because here's the thing. In the end of the day, nobody loses anybody. We're all connected, right? At the highest level, we're all connected. But at the same time, on the physical plane, you have to accept the fact that you are no longer in the same universe. Remember how I said you could be in the same room with somebody, you could talk to them, you could be in two completely different realities. And that's how you have to look at this new chapter, right? Wish them well. Like I said, no hate, no anger, no resentment. I know it's hard because maybe they hurt you, right? Maybe you hurt them, but there still could be love there. You can still love somebody even if you break up with them. That's okay. That's actually a good thing on some level. But at the same time, you know that you will not be, you are no longer on the same frequency as them. Your chapter is done. Now, it doesn't mean that as time goes by, things can change. But at this point, at an energetic level, you are no longer in the same universe. You could run into them at the store. You could have a short little conversation with them. And then maybe, the ego mind is going to be like, oh, maybe. But you have to accept the fact that you are not in the same universe right now. Again, could that change? Absolutely. But never go into, like if you do run into somebody, that person, never think that that's what's going to happen next. That's not healthy. No expectations in that regard. Because here's the deal. When you lose someone you love to actual death, you could dream about them. You could feel their presence, get a sign from them. But you're not going to be able to have those physical conversations with them like you used to. Right? Even though in this situation, these people are still alive, you're never going to be on that same wavelength anymore. Right? Not never, but at this moment, the way things are vibing at this point, you are not going to be on the same wavelength with them. Right? So it takes time, of course, because especially when the wound is still fresh, it takes time. But eventually we got to get to the point where they're dead to you. Even though they're around and you wish them well. Remember, no negative energy on this, okay? You have to look at them as if they are no longer in my universe. I may see them. I may have a mutual friend of theirs, but we are not in the same universe anymore. Because here's the deal. The more you hold on to that, the more you're going to block any blessings coming along from the next person, right? You could be, you could be delaying something, even though I said things happen at the right time. Well, it would happen at the right time because if you're delaying something, then you're obviously not ready for it, right? But if you want to quit blocking that energy, you have to release. And it may sound harsh, but if you can energetically, remember how I mentioned energetic apologies? If you could energetically kill them off, that sounds terrible, but do it with love, accept that you may run into them sometimes, accept that, your chapter is finished and you're both moving on. You learned something, right? If you could energetically do that, my lights dropped, but I'm going to do that. If you can energetically do that, it will go a long way. And you never know, down the road, who knows? I'm not here to give you hope on that. I'm just telling you, it's happened. But you have to be coming from a completely different wavelength at that point. There's got to be healing. Because even the other person needs to heal on some level, let's face it. Even if they were the one that ended it and broke your heart. Let me tell you something. I've ended relationships where I knew I had to, but there was a part of me that said, man, I'd rather be the dumpee than the dumper. Let me tell you, it sucks to be the dumper. It really does. You think getting dumped is bad? Being the dumper is worse, in my opinion, in many, many ways. So, anyway, give it a shot. Take care.